We live in interesting times. Today's stories. COVID-19 continues to dominate the news. A look at what is happening in Canada and elsewhere in the world. Non-essential businesses are shuttered in Vienna. Music calms the souls of lockdown Italians. Light cleaning for Shanghai transit buses. Families of missing relatives in northern Mexico use drones to get closure. These little piggies are flying to China before they go to market. Lego goes green. A big birthday party in Canada's largest city. Pop in for a pop-up meal. EBC Films' Guerrero packs a punch in Burlington, Ontario. In sports, Team Canada delights Vancouver fans in HSBC 7 Series play. A disappointing home opener for soccer's Vancouver Whitecaps. High school basketball championships wrap up in BC. And soaring to new heights in a silly competition down under. I'm Thomas I. Likeness with Eagle News, broadcasting from our Edmonton, Canada studio, bringing you stories from around the globe. Coronavirus continues to dominate our conversations around the water cooler at work and almost every waking moment of our lives. The pandemic has not only people worried about their health, but also their livelihoods. Some are wondering whether things will ever return to the way they were before the outbreak. Our coverage today will focus on what has taken place in Canada during the past 7 days. Eagle News correspondent Karina Beluran tells us we are dealing with two problems: a public health crisis and an economic crisis.
This recreation center where I'm standing is usually busy with people coming in to use the gym, swimming pool, and other programs offered here. The city of Edmonton has closed all recreation centers along with public libraries to limit the spread of COVID-19. Canadians are starting to feel the new reality with limitations on how they can spend their free time, where they can travel to, and what precautions they may take to stay healthy. Across Canada, the measures vary. Some provinces have suspended classes in public schools. Universities either have or are considering going to online classes. At this point, there are more than 260 cases of COVID-19 in Canada, but only one death. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau has a personal stake in this. His wife has tested positive for the virus and has mild symptoms. As a result, he is in self-isolation and working from home. How else has life changed? Some people have been panic buying, hoarding food and other goods, fearing that they may be confined for an extended period of time. Others scour the internet for information, but often they use unreliable sources. Vacations and travel plans have been scrapped. Foreign travel is being discouraged, and Canadians abroad are being told to come home as soon as possible. There is another side to this story, the economic one. With the cancellation of large events, many people who work for conference centers and other venues that host these gatherings are suddenly out of work. Sporting events have been canceled until further notice. Airlines and others in the travel business are laying off people. The cruise ship industry is dead and will likely take years to recover. And a drop in demand for oil has hurt energy companies. They too are shedding workers. The government promises more help for businesses and workers affected by the pandemic, but there seems to be no long-term plan. Some retired folks are feeling the pinch both socially and economically. At many seniors' homes, visitors are not allowed for now. And those relying on investment income are finding the value of their investments dropping as stock markets around the world have taken a hit. But the big concern people have is, will I be infected? What can I do to stay healthy? Alberta's Chief Medical Officer of Health has this advice. Dr. Dina Hinshaw says the most important measure to take is to practice good hygiene. This includes washing your hands regularly for at least 20 seconds, avoid touching your face, cough or sneeze into your elbow, and dispose of the tissue properly. And if you are sick, stay home and away from others. In Edmonton, Karina Bulurin, Eagle News. I'm 1 with 25.
How are people elsewhere in the world coping with the COVID-19 outbreak? Well, Italy is virtually locked down. People are told to stay indoors. Here's how they are beating the social isolation. It is said that music calms the soul, and Italians confined to their homes are taking to their windows and singing in unison. Videos of these impromptu performances are getting thousands of reviews online. One recording in the Tuscan city of Siena has been viewed over 600,000 times on Twitter. In Vienna, people are getting ready for Austria's new COVID-19 measures. Now, all non-essential retail businesses have been ordered to be closed, and that has some people complaining about the social disruption. One woman complained that she could not go out with friends to celebrate her birthday. Another, unhappy that her fitness center was closed and her dance lessons canceled. Non-essential retail businesses must remain shuttered, and restaurants must close by 3 in the afternoon. This is an attempt to limit the spread of the disease. As well, flights and trains from Italy, Spain, France, and Switzerland have been suspended. And how are they cleaning transit buses in Shanghai, China? Well, instead of wiping down the coaches, this bus company is using a high-tech method. The company is using ultraviolet light to kill germs. Now, it converted a regular cleaning bay into a UV light disinfection chamber. Normally, it took 2 people up to 40 minutes to wipe down a bus. Now the company says the process only takes between 5 and 7 minutes. In northern Mexico, families are using drones in the search for the remains of loved ones murdered by organized crime. Eduardo Cesedo, a missing people attorney in Nuevo Leon, says the desert is where cartels hide the bodies of kidnapped and murdered people. In the deserts of the region, Leticia Hidalgo has been looking for her missing son Roy. He's been gone for almost a decade. She and other activists are using aerial technology to help them get closure. Hidalgo says there's never been a search like this in Nuevo Leon, adding nobody had ever looked for human remains as they're doing now. She says the drones have a broader, sharper vision, and it's not necessary to spend as much time under the sun, walking until they find an area of interest. Activist Angelica Orozco says they compare drone images with photographs from previous years. She says they can see the differences in the land, such as discoloration changes in the earth and mounds of stone or dirt. It will be first class all the way for 2,000 pigs. They're being flown from France to China. The pigs will replenish the breeding stock in China, which has been hit hard by African swine fever. The first of 2,000 of the animals have been loaded onto a plane. Lu Huan, the customs veterinarian of the Republic of China, says the pigs were hand-picked for their breeding performance.
African swine fever, there are so many pigs in China was killed, and we need these high-quality pigs back to China and breeding.
The pigs will be flying in comfort on the more than 14-hour flight. Special care is being given so that they arrive in top shape and can do their breeding work. Still to come, Lego has a plan to green up its plastic. A big birthday bash in Toronto. Pop Goes the Diner. And Guerrero DOS is screened in Burlington, Ontario. This is Eagle News. You're watching Eagle News. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. Greta Thunberg would love these folks. The people who run the Danish toy maker Lego want their plastic bricks to go green. Lego's Vice President of Environmental Responsibility says plastic should be used in a responsible way. Tim Brooks says Lego bricks are high quality, durable, and highly reusable, but he says they want to do better.
How do we find plastic that has a lower environmental footprint? Our long-term goal is to create a zero-impact product. You know, we want to make a product that kids can inspire them and their learning and development, but that doesn't impact on the planet. So we've been looking at predominantly in two areas around bio-based plastic, so plastic that comes from natural sources at the moment, sugarcane in one example, or recycled plastic, which is.
Now, if your children had Lego bricks, you may be wondering, what do I do with them? Brooks says recycling is not the answer.
You know, overwhelmingly, 97% of consumers said they keep their Lego bricks, or they know what to do with them, they pass them on. The number one question we get people asking is, how do I recycle my Lego bricks? And we say, stop, we don't want you to recycle them, we want you to reuse them. And that's this beauty that the brick has been compatible since 1958. You know, you can buy something off the shelf today that works with something from the late 1950s. So that's.
Brooks adds the company is increasingly relying on renewable energy to power its factories. When you turn 186 and you want to put candles on the cake, you'll probably need a fire permit. Eagle News correspondent Sabrina Reyes tells us about a birthday party like that in Canada's largest city.
Guess who's turning 186 today? That's right, our beloved city of Toronto. The city of Toronto is celebrating its 186th anniversary of establishment today, and everyone is here at Nathan Phillips Square to celebrate. Welcome to Celebrate Toronto. According to its official website, Celebrate Toronto is a nonprofit organization that celebrates Toronto's anniversary each year. The organization's main goal is to bring the city together. This year, over 90 local vendors and 15 food trucks are gathered today for the event. The festival is about Toronto's art and music too. There are contests and giveaways sponsored by local radio stations, Fan Expo, and the Toronto Zoo. A new feature for this year's celebration is the Imagination Zone, which is a family-friendly area with fun photo op displays and the hot chocolate bar. Although Celebrate Toronto is a free festival, people can make their voluntary donations to United Way. All proceeds will go to the said charity.
We have so many people coming from around the world to live here for a better life. I feel like they all bring their own cultures and their own identity and differences with them that we're able to experience, from our friendships to food to cultural events to non-cultural events. An experience with everyone. So yeah, it's experiencing the world in one place.
Toronto may seem old, 186 years old to be exact, but its liveliness, energy, and vigor still feels very young, thanks to the diverse, kind, and wonderful people of Toronto. Happy 186th birthday to our city, the 6th. From Toronto, Canada, Sabrina De Los Reyes, 1 with 25.
So where do you like to go for dinner when you're out for the evening? Well, our Vancouver Eagle News correspondent, Kathleen Cruz, tried this. She decided to pop in to a pop-up restaurant.
Pop-up dining experience is now becoming a trend that focuses on creating intimate, private dining experience for diners. If you don't know what pop-up dining is, here in Surrey, British Columbia, a Filipino chef is delivering us a delicious Filipino modern theme dining experience. Dinner is served here at Lyra Lu Bake Shop. What normally is just a bake shop, tonight it is transformed into a pop-up restaurant. Chef Andrew Vargas and bakery owner Lyra Lu Maranao are redefining Filipino dishes into unique, sumptuous fine dining meals.
I grew up eating Filipino food, and it's something that I really like, but I feel like there's a bit of a barrier for Filipino food to come into North America. And what I wanted to do is break that barrier by making food that is something that people recognize and are familiar with, but just mixing that Filipino cuisine into there.
asked about how he came up with the Filipino modern menu, Chef Andrew says intimidation has no room.
I kind of just look at some of my favorite Filipino foods, and I try to think of a way that I could make it so it's like a very modern version of it that people won't be overly intimidated by. And that's pretty much how I got inspired by doing this menu. It's just taking Filipino ingredients or Filipino recipes and then merging them two together, and having something that is, traditionally Filipino food is more of a family one pot meal kind of thing. So we kind of wanted to do something different and make it a nice a la carte or a single plate kind of thing.
Ready to learn how to invent traditional Filipino food? Chef Andrew and Lyra turn some of the favorite home-cooked Filipino meals into something fancy.
What I have a crispy pata or crispy pork belly. What I did was I steamed it for about 4 hours and then baked it in the oven for about 45 minutes. So it's cooked all the way through, and so when you fry it, it's got a really nice, crispy, fluffy texture to it. Not too dense, and it's got that crunch when you bite into it. And then we have our sauce, which is like a palabok. So what I did was I did a roasted pork bone and prawn stock. I reduced it down with some anato seeds, and then hit it with some cream to cut all that saltiness of it, and that'll be our sauce. This is one thing I actually wanted to do for quite some time, put the Filipino food more on the spotlight. Everyone knows Filipino food is good, but we wanted to make it in a way where it can be an elegant, fine dining experience.
So this is cassava. It will be the deconstructed base for our mousse. This is ube halaya. So basically ube roots braised in coconut milk and sugar condensed milk. So it's going to be buko pandan mousse cake.
How is the food overall?
1 to 10. I think 11.
Kamusta naman tong experience?
It's very unique taste. Yeah.
Unique. Yeah.
And delicious.
Anything else po?
Delicious and nutritious.
Chef Andrew says melting together culinary worlds to create modern Filipino food without compromising the cultural identity of the Filipino taste is not easy. But the challenge is always so inspiring.
It's really tough. I feel like a lot of chefs have a hard time breaking that barrier of, introducing the Filipino culture to North American. So for me, this was even a bit of a challenge for me as well. But I just wanted to do something that was not overcomplicating or confusing, and that the Filipinos and Canadians will both recognize and enjoy. Yeah, that's pretty much like my goal for this whole pop-up dinners. I would say my inspiration is just to get that Filipino food out there. Like, let people know that we have some really good food, and it's not just something that you eat out of a big pot around a table. It's something that can be very elegant, very tasty, and I want it to be an experience that I want them to taste something and be like, what is that? I've never tasted that before, right? So that's like one of my goals.
From Vancouver, Kathleen Cruz, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
The EBC Films production of Guerrero continues to wow audiences around the world. Moviegoers in Burlington, Ontario had a chance to watch the film, and as Eagle News correspondent Rex Adam tells us, fans were not disappointed.
EBC film Guerrero shows here at Ron Joy Center in Ontario, Canada, and moviegoers just couldn't wait to see this multi-awarded film.
Guerrero, an Eagle Broadcasting Corporation film production, is a touching story of a proud young sibling whose life revolves around his older brother, a boxer. He admires and looks up to him for inspiration and direction. Tears, laughter, and excitement filled the theater through a series of consequential plots instilling lessons that inspire.
I think it was well shot. The script was excellent. It was well written, and it was written in a way that you're gonna want more. And that's why we're looking forward to Guerrero 2. Absolutely. Because it felt like, I'm gonna use the Tagalog word, bitin. We felt shortchanged on that one. I'm like, oh, that's it? That's all? And we wanted more. And that's the well-written aspect of this movie. It will want the viewers to, wait, what's going on? Wait, it's not done. It can't be done. I gotta look forward to the next one.
This film is directed by Carlos Ortega Cuevas.
Guerrero turns out to be another knockout here in the city of Burlington, Canada. Rex Adam, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
Up next in sports, HSBC Rugby, Major League Soccer, high school basketball, and soaring to new heights in the silliest contest you'll ever see. You're watching Eagle News. This is Eagle News. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. Well, this may be the last time for a while that I can tell you about game highlights. You see, with sporting events virtually shut down, there's very little to report. But I have 3 events I can tell you about, and our coverage will begin with the HSBC Rugby 7 Series. It's made its annual stop in Vancouver. Eagle News correspondent Zolty Horvath tells us that Team Canada pulled off just an incredible performance in front of the hometown fans.
HSBC Sevens returned to Vancouver for its 4th straight year, hosting the top 16 national teams in the world. Number 1 ranked New Zealand defeated Australia 17-14 in the Cup final, while Canada defeated South Africa in the bronze medal game. In their strongest showing of the Sevens series this year, Team Canada finished 3rd after a heartbreaking loss to Australia in the semi-finals. The final play came down to a video review to determine if Canada had scored or not, and would ultimately send Australia through to the final and Canada to the bronze medal game. Canada's Connor Braid spoke about the last play of that game.
I thought we scored, but I'm sure they got it right in the end. There were a lot of things we could have done that game to win, but I thought it was going to be a bit of a fairy tale there. I was so excited, but unfortunately it didn't go our way, and we were able to pull it back together, go into a 3rd place game. It's hard with such a big drop, but to be able to win that 3rd place game and again win on a high with this home crowd, it's the best.
Although disappointed with the call and the outcome of the semifinals, Canadian fans were loud and proud during the bronze medal game. Canada outscored defending champ South Africa 26-19 to take home their first piece of hardware of the season. Captain Nathan Hirayama talked about his team's performance this weekend.
A lot of the boys I thought really stepped up this weekend. I thought, I can name them all. I thought they were awesome. Like I said, it's a massive step in the right direction for us these last 2 weekends. I think we can take a lot of confidence out of it going into. I guess we have a bit of a break here, but going into Europe in a couple months' time here, and hopefully finish the end of this part of the series with a bang, and then lead into Tokyo.
The next scheduled stop for the 7 Series is the women's tournament on May 2nd and 3rd, held again in Canada in Langford, BC. The men's tournament will head to London on May 23rd and 24th ahead of the Tokyo Olympics. With the COVID-19 cancellations and postponements of different events and leagues in recent days, there has yet to be official word from the Tokyo Olympic Committee and the HSBC 7 Series regarding any disruption to their events. Zolty Horvath, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
The Major League Soccer season is on hold because of the COVID-19 pandemic, but before the season was suspended for at least 30 days, the Vancouver Whitecaps managed to play their home opener. As Eagle News correspondent Anthony Sevilla reports, the outcome was a disappointment for hometown fans.
On opening night of the 2020 MLS regular season, Sporting Kansas City spoiled the Vancouver Whitecaps FC home opener and left BC Place with a 3-1 victory. The Whitecaps soared in the early minutes of the match, but it was all SKC after that, as the 2 goals from Gadi Kinda and Alan Pulido would be enough to hold on for the 3 points. Alan Pulido scored early in the match in the 17th minute to put Sporting KC up 1-0. The Whitecaps battled back to tie up the game as Jake Nerwinski tapped in the pass from David Milinkovic to tie up the game 1-1. Gary Kinda would put Sporting KC back in the lead in the 39th minute, and the game would be in their favor for the rest of the match. One last final push for Whitecaps FC wouldn't be enough, as Eric Hurtado would score the dagger goal in extra time to secure the match for Kansas City. The Whitecaps' former 5th overall pick in the 2013 MLS Super Draft spoke post-game about the win.
It's the first game of the season, and it's a good game to build on. Now we got to get back to KC and look at some film and get ready for Houston.
After a disappointing end to the Whitecaps FC home opener, they spoke their frustration about the team's slow start to the match.
I think that the guys showed before this game that they were capable of doing what we wanted. And then today it was just a day that, especially in the first 25 minutes, that we weren't able to apply what we worked on. And it was kind of surprising at the same time. We felt it on the field, a little bit of anxiety, a little bit of some guys nervous and having choices of passes that were risky or too many touches, trying to do everything perfect. So that was difficult tonight.
A sold-out crowd of 21,120 fans at BC Place witnessed the MLS season opener for the Whitecaps FC and Sporting KC. Lucas Cavallini and Jake Nowinski also admitted post-game about pre-game jitters and being anxious at the start of the match.
I guess the anxiety debuted all the fans here, full stadium, just great. This is what we need. But I guess we got carried away with that, and we felt the anxiety, and just like I said, we played under their trap, under how they wanted us to play, and we just didn't stick with our game.
Yeah, to be honest, I think our first 15 minutes we didn't do a lot of the things that we were doing in preseason, what we were taught and what we learned throughout for the 6 weeks of preseason. And I think after that we kind of we were a little too excited. I think we calmed down a bit. To end the first half, we were pretty strong, and in the second half, I think we weren't able to get in a groove really. Kansas City did, credit to them, they stopped our game plan, they kept the ball, and they didn't allow us to really pressure them.
After finishing at the bottom of the Western Conference and missing the postseason, it was a busy off-season for both clubs, with a lot of new faces to their locker rooms, questions surrounding their new personnel, and if the new additions are enough to make it over the hump. Both clubs will have a lot to prove if either team hopes to make it back into the MLS playoffs this season. From Vancouver, Anthony Sevilla, Eagle News, 1/25.
It was a busy week for Anthony. He also took in the wrap-up of BC's high school basketball season. He files this report.
The 75th annual BC High School Boys Provincial Basketball Championships officially came to a close, which featured some of the best senior boys high school players from the province of British Columbia. 75 years of high-caliber basketball produced players such as Kelly Olynyk of the Miami Heat, former LA Lakers center Rob Sacre, and two-time NBA Most Valuable Player Steve Nash. In the 3A tournament, the G.W. Graham Grizzlies from Chilliwack ended their amazing 4-day tournament, defeating the number 2 Vernon Panthers, and took home the gold after they defeated the number 1 Dutchess Park Condors from Prince George 79-67. The Grizzlies were on the edge of missing out on the tournament, but were able to win in the Eastern Valley Zone semifinals. G.W. Graham and Dutchess Park had met once previously in the season, but it was the Condors who overpowered the Grizzlies to defeat them by 20. Fast forward to the championship game, and it was the Grizzlies who would come out on top to earn the 3A provincial title. 6'10" forward duo and twin brothers Matthias and Zach Klim were a huge force down low for the Grizzlies. Zach also posted a double-double with his 10 points and 15 rebounds. The brothers shared their emotions after their win.
Just this atmosphere in the Arena Bowl is the craziest thing ever. And it's when we wanted to do the dog pile, it was crazy. I mean, I was stuck on the bottom. I didn't really know what to do. I was kind of breaking out in tears, and I saw my buddy Colby on the bottom, and we just went crazy on the bottom of the dog pile. It was amazing. Oh, that's the best feeling ever. Yeah. It feels like you're in the pros in this big arena. Yeah. It's nuts. Everything just surrounds you. It's crazy. We're inseparable. Like I'm older by 2 minutes, so I always say I'm the older brother. But like, yeah, we're inseparable. Like we do everything together. It's the best thing ever to have a twin. It was perfect to do it with my best friend here. I wouldn't have it any other way with any other person, with any other team for sure. Exactly. We have a big family here at GW, so we're happy to get it for Chilliwack and for the school.
Grizzlies guard Clay Hurts was awarded the tournament MVP after he finished with 24 points, 12 rebounds, 4 assists, and 3 steals. Hurts spoke post-game about the win and the support from his friends and family at the game.
All the hard work pays off, you know. We get up every morning, train, practice. It feels so good. We definitely adapted to the time we played them before. They just pushed the ball, and we had to know how to stop that, and we just countered that, and we pushed our ball and played our game. Our crowd is just amazing. Our school is our back, and it's a family here.
In the grand finale, the number 1 Burnaby South Rebels took home the 4A boys provincial title following their 70-58 win over the number 3 Kelowna Owls. Both teams faced off earlier this year, where in the Samura Invitational Finals at this same venue, Kelowna gave Burnaby South their first loss of the year. However, the number 1 team in the province were poised to come out on top and earn their second title in 3 years. Filipino-Canadian junior guard Justin Sunga earned tournament MVP with his 15 points, 6 rebounds, and 4 assists. Sunga played at the senior level for Burnaby South last season as a 10th grader. His experience showed his maturity and composure on the court when it mattered most, and he wasn't afraid to make the big shot. Justin shared what it meant to win the award, reflecting their loss to Kelowna earlier this season and what they had to do differently in this game.
It means so much. Like I said to him, my team is so talented. I love my guys, and it just means so much for me to get it. In the Chamorro tournament, we didn't have all our guys, but I mean, that's not an excuse, right? We just had to come with that killer mentality and ball out.
Senior forward Sasa Vujicic was a presence in the paint for Burnaby South. Despite struggling early on, the 6'10 forward from Burnaby South picked it up in the second half and finished with a double-double of 15 points and 20 rebounds. As a 10th grader, Sasha was part of the Burnaby South team that won the provincial title in 2018. He mentioned his experience helped him to be more composed against Kelowna, his struggles early on, and if the team had any pre-game jitters.
I've been feeling really sick these past couple of games. I guess it kind of showed in the first half. I was missing some easy layups, but I gathered myself and then came out in the second half for my team. We felt strong, but we knew that nothing was guaranteed. I've been in this position before, so I was kind of calm. But overall, I think we handled ourselves pretty well before the game and coming into it.
With the ever-growing talent coming out of British Columbia, the competition at this event has been at an all-time high, with a lot of the best players in this tournament only in grade 11, such as Clay Hurts and Justin Sunga. Next year's high school basketball season will be one for the ages. From the Langley Event Center, Anthony Sevilla, Eagle News, 1 with 25.
I want to leave you on a lighter note today. Let's go to Australia and have a look at one of the, sillier competitions I've ever seen. It's the annual Birdman Rally. Now, it takes place in Melbourne. It features people trying to fly in their homemade, self-propelled contraptions. Just watch as they hurl themselves off this makeshift runway that overhangs the river. Look at this guy go. Here's another one. Watch while this fellow gives it a whirl.
Is coming your way.
Oh. Well, that didn't go too well.
3, 2, 1.
Here's Daniel Mazai. He was the winner of this year's Birdman.
But it's still as scary as ever when you jump in. Doesn't matter how many times you've done it.
Let's hear from some other contestants.
It was very exciting. I'm still a little bit like, wow! It was, a lot of fun. I enjoyed it a lot.
I think I'm going to go for just a really fun leap or something. I'm not really sure. Just see whatever happens.
I wouldn't say I'm fat, but I'm very short for my weight. So I've got massive disadvantages when it comes to actually flying. It's not actually possible.
The Birdman Rally. Okay, one more look. I'm going to fly away now. That's this week's Eagle News. Join us next week for stories that matter to you. Visit our websites at eaglenews.net and eaglenewslive.com. Follow us on Twitter at twitter.com/eaglenews and on Facebook at facebook.com/eaglenews. Thank you for watching. I'm Thomas I. Likeness. I'm 1 with 25.